This video contains spoilers for the end of the Indigo Disc, so do not watch until you've played.
Ah, yes, it's a beautiful sunny day, and behind me a gorgeous lighthouse. Or is it, in fact, a sinister lighthouse, a laboratory on the Poco Path, the home to Professor Sada? Or was it Professor Chiro? I'm not quite sure. In there, research notes for special Pokemon that shouldn't exist, Pokemon from the past or the future.
They're known, of course, as Paradox Pokemon. Since they were first discovered in the depths of Area Zero, Paradox Pokemon have both bemused scientists and conspiracy theorists alike. Pokemon that seem impossible to be real from the ancient past and far-off future. The far-off future Pokemon are described often as UFOs and weapons and cyborgs, and the ancient Pokemon like Screamtail are said to be 1 billion years old, older than any Pokemon in the fossil record. These fanciful descriptions may well be the result of just incorrect Pokedex data programmed by children traveling the Pokemon world, or information that's come from the Occulture magazine that's very pervasive in the mindset of the people of Paldea. This was so powerful, in fact, that it drew Professor Sada and Chiro down to the depths of Area Zero, where they intended to create a time machine to bring these Pokemon from the past and future to the present day. So they say. While we have had time travel and time machines in Pokemon before, between Celebi and the time capsule in Generation 2, as well as a man who's making a time machine in the Unova region in Pokemon Black and White, we just haven't had deep canonized lore time travel, and certainly not Pokemon that have just come from the past and future. These Pokemon also feel very different to the likes of fossil Pokemon or Genesect. So what are they really? Well, many people have put forward the idea that these Pokemon are not real. They were actually manifested from the dreams and wants and hopes of Professor Sada and Chiro. In large part, this is because dreams and wishing comes up a lot in dialogue throughout Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and the first part of the DLC, the Teal Mask. The loyal trio wished to be stronger, and so they were. So too did Kieran, and sure enough, in the Indigo Disc, oh, is he tough. But it seems that this wishing power has not come from Terapagos, the Pokemon that makes its home at the subterranean level of Area Zero. No. That seems to be connected to another mysterious Pokemon altogether. Terapagos' power is around Pokemon types, and changing Pokemon types to be sure. It seems to be the case that Terapagos' power in its many forms seems to be pretty integratable into technology. We see this in the terrarium, where at the top of the dome there is a giant orb filled with liquid that has come from Terapagos' power. This allows for the terrarium to exist. A magnificent and very expensive feat of technology. So too is their AI, Sada and Chiro, who have been made possible as a result of the integration of terrestrial technology, and it seems that this terrestrial technology also powered the time machine. So was it really a time machine? Well, in some ways at least, yes. We know that Heath did see Paradox Pokemon 200 years ago. But how is this possible if Sada and Chiro made the time machine to bring these Pokemon to the present time, rather than sending them away to the past or future? Well, all is explained at the end of the Indigo Disc. This is your last chance for those big spoilers. Professor Sada and Chiro have many labs. In the Poco Path Lighthouse, you can see, right now if you walked in today, Terapagos on the screen. It's a diamond shape, but it is the one that is revealed to be Terapagos, so they knew all about it. How? Well, when exploring the new cave system in Area Zero, we find that Sada and Chiro had in fact been down there doing research, and in a personal journal entry, they mentioned just at some point having a strange experience, appearing somewhere humid, where there is a crystal pool of water, and interacting with a child who gives them a white tome. Of course, if you've played to the end of the Indigo Disc, you know this white tome is the tome of Briar that has the complete information about Area Zero and Terapagos, having witnessed it herself. You give this book to Professor Sada and Chiro. You are this child in a sort of bootstrap paradox. They got the book from you, and you got the book because Briar completed it from the events that they set in motion. The book is a paradox, you are a paradox, and in this way they are paradox Pokemon. They were created as the result of a paradox. But where do they come from? Well, Sada and Chiro say it pretty explicitly. They come from other timelines. So they are coming from alternate universes. You might think, is that not like Giratina or the Ultra Beasts? Well, think about it like this. If Giratina comes from the distortion world, a reality that is so different to ours that the laws of physics work differently, and the Ultra Beasts come from ultra space, possibly beyond the reach of the observable universe, parts of reality so far away that the beings are just odd, then these Paradox Pokemon are from Earth. They're from the Pokemon Earth, just not the Earth that you are on, or perhaps any Earth that we've ever experienced. Somewhere there's a different timeline where all Pokemon are very cyborg-esque. That is where the future Paradox Pokemon are from. And there's also a timeline where Pokemon are savage and wild, and that's where the past Paradox Pokemon are from. I expect in future games we'll get them in the same way that we get Pokemon like Ultra Beasts through wormholes, because that's all they are. They're Pokemon from Earth in different dimensions. You might say, hang on, isn't that kind of like Guzzlord, because wasn't he from a version of Alola? But I think that Alola is not on this Poke-Earth, but rather on a copy Poke-Earth far off somewhere else in the universe, but that is a theory for a different time. There was one more point for the dream theory, because of course Sada and Churro appear to you in the form of a sort of mist. When I first saw this, I likened it to the dream mist that you find in the Unova region. And of course, Unova has been getting a lot of nods with this Indigo Disc, with the actual Blueberry Academy itself being there in the Unova region, but Terrapagos doesn't seem to have any connection to that. I do believe it's the Paldean Academy's sister site, the Blueberry Academy, and its co-founder, Cyrano, who is sort of the main investor behind Sada and Churro's research, but other than that, the connections to Unova and the Dream World are actually relatively limited for Area Zero itself. Note, despite how non-technological it's looking, what we're seeing here is time travel. It's a less technological version of time travel. I believe this is how Sada and Churro also, after awakening and finding Terrapagos, managed to present themselves to Heath 200 years ago. He saw them with Terrapagos, drew Terrapagos in its ultimate form. He, from them, learned about the secrets of time travel, secrets that would set all the events in motion, and of course witnessed the Paradox Pokemon, who were there 200 years ago for a moment, and then gone, until they were recently discovered for the first time by Sada and Churro. And so there you have it. That's it. That's the canon explanation as to how Paradox Pokemon work. Don't forget to click the link at the top of the description to check out the merch store. My merch store is closing down in 2 weeks. It is your last chance to get a Tree of Evolution poster. So hi Pokemon Masters.
Hello there, it's me, Professor Oak. This video is over, so please choose another one wisely and quickly. Bye-bye.
Thank you anyone who has ever contributed through Patreon, and especially the big patrons of this month, Lucas Gates, Anthony Lee, Charmander Aznable, Wietse Dik, Immortal Absol, and Jed Rubin. Thank you for your incredible support.